Hey, welcome everybody. It's the Show Me Reptile Show podcast. We are back here with our special guest this week, Josh Alder. Josh, welcome.
How's it going, guys?
What's up, Josh?
How's things?
Things are busy, buddy.
Yeah.
Busy.
That's good.
Uh, grow, Apparently, growing this reptile industry is a lot of work.
It definitely seems like a full-time job.
I think it's like 70 full-time jobs at this
I
point.
was going to say one full time job each day.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how you been, Josh? I haven't talked to you in a few months.
Yeah, no, I haven't been on the road much. We kind of cut back on shows here this year. I'm pretty much only doing the NARBCs, and then I've hit a couple of I hit the Tennessee show not too long ago with you guys. I think that was the last one I saw you guys at, but um, just been working on stuff around here. I got other businesses and other projects going on around the house here, so been working on that a lot and just kind of keeping the lights on here with the reptiles. And we're getting ready to ramp it back up now that spring's here. I got shipments coming in May and April and all that, so should be off to a good start this year. 2025 is looking pretty solid here, so I'm excited. Mostly European stuff, but you never know what's going to come through the doors here.
So Josh, something I want to point out that I've always admired about you is you work with a lot of imports, and you definitely do it right every time. Like, you bring the healthiest, nicest stuff. It's
Yeah.
in the best variety, and just watching you grow over the years, give you a little jerk off real quick. Watching you grow over the years has been great.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. That's the whole business model, man. Is I'm trying to take the guesswork out of it for the customers. I've always been like a firm believer that it's not the customer's job to establish an animal; it's the importer's job. By the time it gets sold at a show or sold online or something, I feel like a customer should be receiving a very well established, healthy, ready to go animal. I don't think it's fair to assume that a customer can handle something like a freshly wild caught animal. There's a lot of people out there that can, but there's a lot of people out there that just don't know the nuances or the medical care or things like that, or have access to that information readily, when they receive an animal. So I do that all here. Obviously, it means I assume a lot more of the risk because these animals are here and I'm dealing with all of the problems as opposed to just shoveling them out the door and making them somebody else's problem. But that being said, I feel like that's really built my reputation, and helped my business a lot because when people order from me, they know that they're getting an animal that I've done everything I can to the best of my ability to make sure that animal is established and going to thrive with whoever ends up with it.
Yeah, I love it.
That's awesome because we need new genetics and we need fresh blood, and most people unfortunately are not doing it that way. They're not doing it right. So
Yeah, and I've recently kind of steered away from as big of the wild caught shipments. Like I used to do these massive wild caught shipments, where I'd be getting 1,000 animals at a time or something like that, something crazy, and I've kind of steered away from that. I'm a one man jam here. I've got some people and some staff that helps me out here and there, but for the most part, it's all me. So I've really pared down the wild caught shipments. I'm still doing them, but I'm being a lot more selective with them. But I've been working a lot with captive bred stuff out of Europe. So I'm getting captive bred animals that are still bringing that genetic variety to the States that everybody is kind of always going for, getting unrelated animals and not crossing too many bloodlines together. So, lots of work with Europe last year, and this year I think will be almost exclusively with Europe. I have probably like a Peru shipment lined up and maybe Malaysia at some point. It'll all just depend. It kind of goes with the flow as far as that stuff goes for me now with the wild caught shipments, but still really
Bring
like.
me in some king cobras.
No venomous anymore, man. The shipping has just become an issue for me. Our local airport used to have a Delta flight that I could do the Delta cargo shipments on, and now my nearest airport's Detroit, which is like 2 hours away. And honestly, they don't have a firm grasp of like what the laws are with venomous reptiles, and oftentimes will try to turn down people shipping out animals, even though you're up to code and you've met all the criteria in the books. So it just became a thing where I was driving, basically 4.5 hours round trip to get told that I can't ship an animal. And so it kind of just got to be too much. So no venomous here at the moment. Probably will end up with a personal collection of little venomous stuff here and there. But for now, all non-venomous, and just going to keep it that way as far as the business goes for sure. So.
Josh, people at home are probably like sitting there now wondering, what species do you work with?
Oh man, we have a huge variety here. At any given time, I have probably about roughly 100 species on site,
Wow.
and that changes week to week, honestly, day to day. Mostly snakes. I do a lot more snakes, but we've been stepping up the lizards, and I'm into like frogs and tortoises and stuff too. So I would say right now, like gearing up for Tinley, like I think for Tinley, I'll probably have about 70 species available on the table. So that doesn't
Wow.
include any of like my own breeding stuff. So yeah, we're probably at about 120 species here right now, and come summer we'll be closer to probably 150, even 200 species of animals here. And quantity can change, like I said, day to day, week to week. I try to keep it right around 300 or 400 animals here at a time. That's a manageable number for me in my experience. Anything more than that, and I start to need help, which is totally fine. But also, having consistent, reliable help, especially with fresh wild caught animals, can be a challenge. So I tend to just try to keep it where I can manage it all myself, and like if I need some help, I can call a couple close friends, and they can come over and help me do what I need. But yeah, usually about 100 species, 300 animals, somewhere in there. So
That's cool. What are your favorites? What are the things you're most passionate about?
I would say I'm most into the colubrids, the Asian colubrids, rhino rat snakes. I've recently been really into the European rat snakes, like a lot of the Elaphase genus, the Eurytarian rat snakes and things like that. But man, like we really do work with it all. Like I mean, right now, like this week, I got in Vietnamese mossy frogs, Burmese brown mountain tortoises, Sri Lankan star tortoises, pancake tortoises. I've got Crebos coming this week. I mean, it really is all over the
Wow.
board. As far as my personal collection goes, I have some crocodilians that I'm really really into. That's been my jam lately. I work really closely with a zoo here in Michigan, so they all have outdoor exhibits for the summer and then come here for winter. But I've got Cuban crocodiles, Siamese, Morlets, West African dwarf crocodile, a broad snout caiman, and West African Nile. So few different croc species, and then my breeder stuff is mostly Asian colubrids like mandarin rats, rhino rats, kind of Vietnamese blue beauties, all of that stuff. Cave dwellers, kind of up that alley is where I tend to find myself landing as far as my breeding inventory goes. So,
That's
but
That's cool.
awesome.
yeah,
A
that
man of
being said,
taste.
though, I mean, like that being said, just because that's the majority of it doesn't mean that that's all of it. I've got like looking around right now, like I've got a pair of Tristis monitors breeding in here, Dumerils boas, black-headed pythons. I got Phthias carinata breeding down here. I mean, it never ends. I'm obsessed with all of it. So whatever comes through the door is what ends up here. So
So what's on the wish list then? What don't you have that you wish was there?
oh man, what's on the wish list? One of the things I'd really like to breed that I haven't bred yet are the 100 flower rat snakes, the Mollendorffi. I'd really like to get a shot at breeding those, so I'm actually bringing in an adult group of them come April, and I'll probably hold that group back for myself and give them a shot for breeding. I think they'll do okay here. They kind of fit into whatever, like the same type of brumation and everything that I do with all the other colubrids. So but yeah, there's a few Europlatus species that are still on the wish list, like the peach mani, the cork bark leaf geckos. I'd like to do those, but honestly, man, like not to like sound cocky or whatever, but like there's most species that I've wanted, I've been able to get. So I like the wish list is getting shorter and shorter. Few crocodilians I still got to add, but I mean we've kept a ton of venomous, and the non venomous collection is definitely ever growing and ever changing. So it's one of the things I love about this business the most. The way I do it is I get to work with such a variety that when there's certain animals that I just think are cool or I want to get, we just kind of get them in, and if I like them, I end up keeping them, and if not, we just we move them on to permanent homes and get them breeding out for captive breeding programs here. So
That's awesome.
Yeah. Josh, I think like half my wish lists come from you. So
well, that's good. That's my job. So
I
as
know.
long as I'm doing my job, we'll keep you guys fulfilled.
Like the only reason I've gone the last couple of NRBCs I've been to is because you were there. I'm like, this motherfucker. Every time I see your list come up, I was like, I wasn't gonna go, but now I gotta go.
Well, now you're bailing out on this one apparently. So,
I'm not bailing out. I just have to work.
well, talk to the boss.
I mean, he's right
Yeah.
here, but we
Can't
have
help
nobody
him.
else to go.
Can't
Scott's
help
busy
him.
there, Micky.
I think Scott might have to deal with one animal rights person down there this weekend. We'll see if she shows up that weekend.
That's always a good time. We've dealt with our fair share of that too. So
That
the
bitch.
Mm-hmm.
The mammal side of thing gets a lot more attention than the reptile side. So I've never had to deal with it with my personal animals, but I work with a big mammal import business, so that's my day job, and we've definitely dealt with it there quite a bit. So
Yeah.
yep.
Yeah. Sometimes I feel like those people need to get new hobbies.
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes from. I think their heart's in a good place. They just have a very limited understanding of how captive propagation actually works and how conservation actually works. But you know,
Well, a lot of people don't understand. Like, if we don't bring in these animals from these places, those people in those areas aren't making money off of those forested areas. So, guess
yep.
what happens to them? They get chopped down and turned into palm fields or, whatever.
Yeah, there's a real legitimate argument to that too. Like these, like the pet industry and the exotic animal industry is a multi-billion-dollar a year industry worldwide, and I think like a lot of people kind of overlook how big of an impact the pet trade can have on these places and how much it can actually benefit these different countries. You know, their people's lives. There are certain villages and certain places that are solely based on the exotic animal trade, and without it, like these people would be essentially like incomeless. They wouldn't have a way to make a living. And like you said too, if a lot of these places that we're getting animals from are struggling, in a lot of ways, and if an area that's animal rich can provide them an income, they'll continue to maintain it and preserve it and keep the animals coming, our way, harvest them and maintain them correctly. However, if it's not making them any money, it just turns into a logging situation or however they can get money out of that place, which oftentimes just leads to them destroying the environment entirely, and obviously killing all of the animals that are in that range. So it's a very complicated issue. It's something I put a lot of time and thought into because obviously I always want to do what's best for the animals. I don't do this business because it's making me rich, because it's certainly not. I do it because I really love the animals, and a lot of what I'm doing now is really focused on that. I'm focused a lot on conservation and getting the really truly rare and difficult species here and trying to unlock the keys to breeding them and keeping the population in captivity going. As opposed to when I started, I think I was more kind of interested in just getting species I thought was cool, and now it's shifted more to like, do I actually need to bring these in? Is this beneficial to the species? Like to me, like importing a bunch of normal ball pythons doesn't really necessarily seem beneficial to the species anymore. It's certainly beneficial to the places in Africa where they're collected, but like as far as genetic diversity goes and everything, like we kind of got that tapped, But if we're talking about royal tree snakes from Malaysia, there's so few of those in the hobby. Like that's something that I'm interested in getting here and trying to establish and trying to get captive bred animals so we can kind of alleviate the wild caught pressure on them. So yeah, it's a very complicated, very kind of long, drawn out, thought out situation as far as that goes.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot that goes into it, especially when you're selling animals. Because you have to think you just have to think about the animal and the well being and the keeper that they're going to. It's there's a lot that goes into it. It's not so much grabbing and flipping some animals.
Yeah, definitely not for me. I mean, I've refused plenty of sales. Honestly, I'm sure had a few show me customers complain that I've refused sales at times, but it just is what it is. Like I value the animals more than the money that comes from them. They do provide me a livelihood and a way to help feed my family. But that being said, it's them first. I don't do this for anything other than I love the animals, and this gives me a way to work with a huge variety of species and at least have it pay for itself. Plus, take care of my time, I guess. Putting in all the hours that we put in here, taking care of them. So, but yeah, it's definitely a balance of business and the passion and just doing the right thing by the animals. But as far as my business has been concerned, I've always just 100% done what's best for the animals and what's right by them, and that's translated into a pretty solid business model, in my opinion. So,
Well, the
So I
goal
think
can't always be money. When the goal's money, that's when you really start to just fail yourself and fail what you're doing.
yeah, I think you see that a lot, especially with the import business. You see a lot of people get caught up in just trying to chase the dollar instead of, you know, remembering why they got into it in the first place.
The import place would be a terrible place to chase money because you know, you're at a 20% survival rate when you're popping crates from Africa.
Yeah, and like that's something too. Like I don't know. Like with that whole situation, I have a hard time with that. Like when importers talk about like what their death rate is or like their loss rate, and sometimes it's like the number of animals that they're losing is absolutely insane to me. When I was doing the big wild caught shipments, like I can remember specifically, like if I had one or two animals show up DOA, it was like a big deal. I didn't like that. I was very, very selective and very kind of hard on my exporters to make sure that the quality was insanely high. And if they sent me low quality animals, I didn't use them anymore, and they all knew that, and they all still know that. You know, if you're going to ship to me, it better be good because I don't play that game, and I think a lot of importers stateside kind of allow their exporters to send them kind of whatever they have in stock, and I think that's a big mistake. There's no reason for them to be neglecting and mistreating these animals before they get shipped here. It's simply not necessary. They have all of the means to take care of them. The animals are in their natural environment. They can literally just keep them outside. So there's no excuse for them not to be in good shape when they get here. And I was very focused on that and still am. I don't accept low quality animals here. We only work with people who are going to supply us with the correct quality.
I think we lost Scott somewhere along the way.
Yeah, Scott vanished. I still can't see Micky.
I see Scott.
Oh, now he's back. I think.
Maybe.
Nope, I don't see him.
Scott, can you hear us?
I can.
Okay.
I can
You,
hear him. Just can't
you
see him.
disappeared for a little bit, but you're back for me now.
I can
Okay.
only see Brady, so.
It wouldn't be a
I hopped off
podcast if we
Wi-Fi
didn't
with
have.
my network.
Yeah, it wouldn't be a podcast of ours if we didn't have a couple people pop in and out and
I'll try not
disappear,
to.
connection lost. So, Micky, you mentioned it in the pre-show discussion, but obviously Josh couldn't come last year. But Colubrid Fest would be quite a good spot for him.
Yeah, I think he'll be well received at Cluebird Fest, and it'll be good to see Josh. I like Josh a lot. He's a great guy. Uh, you know, I've gotten a lot of animals from Josh over the years, and they're still downstairs being fed. So,
That's good. Beans are doing good, right? But yeah, no, I'll
oh yeah,
definitely be at Colubrid Fest this year. I'm really excited for it. Me and Clint were talking about it. I did his podcast not too long ago, and definitely excited to do just a solely Colubrid based event. And I'm planning on making sure I got some really good inventory for that one because it'll be all my fellow Colubrid nerds. So got to make sure we bring the best of the best. So.
And we should probably recap it a little bit, Micky, because we took a little break on the podcast, so I don't think we've discussed it since you locked in a new location and dates.
yeah, sure. So let me look up the date because I've got so many dates in my mind right now. But yeah, we moved Colubrid Fest to Fort Wayne, Indiana, where we currently have a show up there. Just seems like it's going to be a better spot for us. Actually, just got the room blocks all set up and everything. Super excited for that. Let's see here. Yeah, it's September 13th and 14th. So,
And that actually gives us room to grow, a little more affordability probably for everybody all around. Because I think last year there happened to be a football game at the same time, and so hotel blocks were booked up. Pricing was high.
parking was like $50 a person, and I mean, we actually lost our asses on the first Cluebrood Fest by like a lot, but that's okay. You know,
And
we
it probably hampered attendance a little bit just because people didn't want to go mess with the parking situation on a football game.
oh yeah, if I would have been driving around that building, I'd been like, I'm not going there.
Yeah.
Everybody who went though said it was quite the experience and definitely it was definitely a highly reviewed event. So I'm really excited to be a part of it this year.
Yeah. I don't think
I was
after any show of ours I've seen more posts of this was the best show I've been to in X amount of years.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. It's exciting. It's a cool thing, and I think it'll gain traction every year. And I think this year will be even better than last.
Yeah, that's kind of the goal. Just keep on growing it, just like with anything else we do. Keep on growing it, or Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
for
how many locations are you putting on shows now, Mickey?
Oh geez, I can't even count. We've been adding locations like crazy, so I know we're just about coast to coast.
Yeah, that's awesome. You
well,
talk about like me growing my business. Like look at what you've been able to accomplish in the last several years. You know, you started off just doing a couple local shows, and now coast to coast. So that's awesome, man. You've really stepped it up with those.
yeah, I think at last count we clicked over 30 states now.
Yeah, that's awesome.
The number of locations I don't even know, but it's 200 plus shows in 30 states.
Mm-hmm.
So many.
And from
So
what
many shows. Well,
I
it's funny, you know. Some people like to like rag on us for doing so many shows, you know, and it's like, yeah, I could do one show 2 times a year in one city, but what benefits that doing to the industry? You know, like we're out here trying to grow and grow what we're doing, and I think what we do really benefits everybody.
yeah, I think the bad thing is some people look at it and think, oh, it's like a big corporation, and these people are impersonal and trying to just money hungry, but it's not. It's really growing into a lot of small communities where there's not a giant financial upside for us, but what it does for the community of reptiles altogether is amazing.
Listen, if I wanted to make money, I would have stayed in construction and would do real estate. That's I can make money with that all day long.
Yeah, but you wouldn't have any fun.
I had fun, you know, screwing apprentices into porta potties and stuff. That was a good time.
Yeah,
Nail gun fights.
Oh, nail guns are hurt. They hurt.
yeah. I'll pass on that. I'll stick with the snake.
Yeah, no, the reptiles and stuff. They're a lot of fun. I really enjoy them. You know, I think you know Josh and I share a lot of the same sentiments on stuff. Sometimes I get a little jealous because he gets to play with all these cool animals, and I hardly ever have time to do anything with mine except for maintain them.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
kind of how it feels sometimes
yeah,
here, though, man. Like come summer, that's how it is here. I feel like all I do is just clean up after them. I don't get as much enjoyment, but whenever I start feeling a little burnt out, I always try to make time to just spend time with the animals and not actually, not actually work. Like let's interact with them, observe them, kind of learn about them and learn from them, and that that definitely keeps me focused on what we're doing here. So.
yeah. It stinks. You get to the point where you're so busy that sometimes all you're doing is putting food into one end of them and cleaning what comes out the other.
Exactly. Yeah. No, it's definitely easy to get caught up in that, especially with like the way we do things here. We get these big shipments of animals, or it's like we probably have on average, I would say, 20 or 30 new animals come through every week at least. So it's like there's constantly new things coming, constantly things going, and so it's an ever growing and then ever receding process of how much time do I have to spend with maintenance and how much time do I have to spend, marketing and selling, and how much time do I spend just enjoying it, and keeping it like a personal collection. So
I know sometimes with the animals that come in for like the stores and stuff. I think you sold me a Gigi skink in Nashville last time you were down there in Tennessee.
yeah,
I so badly find myself wanting to keep that thing. It's just so cool.
yeah, no, and I run into that all the time, and like that's one of the things like I always joke is like you can't keep them all, but like realistically, I do end up keeping them all. You know what I mean? Like
Well, really, you could keep them all if
yeah,
you wanted to.
there's
You could.
yeah, and there's different species. Like right now, I just got in brown mountain tortoises for the first time, and it's just something that I've always wanted. And I don't really know why. I was just always fascinated with them, and I got
Yeah,
them
I
with
need to
the
get a couple of those from you at Tinley. We'll talk.
yeah, and like I had the intention of selling them all, and now I'm like, well, that's not gonna happen. So now I'm expanding the tortoise pens outside this year. So it's just when cool stuff comes through, I'll keep it and kind of see if it ends up being something that I'm really into and I want to continue to work with and breed, or if it's something that I want to keep just for my enjoyment, or I end up not being as interested in it as I thought, and then we'll move it on from there. But I don't put pressure on like this has to get sold or this has to breed or this has to. I don't put any weight on my inventory like that. I kind of just go with what I'm feeling, when the animals get here. Don't get me wrong, like the majority of stuff is purchased with the intent of resale, but there's lots of times things just hang out here. Like I even joke. I mean, I've got like one of my favorite breeding projects I have is just giant day geckos, and like I sell the babies for 50 to 75 bucks. It's like they cost me more than they make, and I just like them. I just enjoy them, and so
Yeah, there's not a much more beautiful animal than that.
exactly, yeah. So and I've got a little group of patternless ones or reduced pattern ones, and I'm trying to recreate that, and so it's just cool. And I don't like I said, it's never been about the money. Like it has to make some money because it's when you get to this size, like this quantity of animals and this scale, you do have to at least be able to cover its own costs,
Yeah, you
But
can't just have 300 pets.
exactly, yeah. Like there's a certain point where it does have to kind of at least pay for itself. But as long as it's doing that, I'm not sweating it, And every year we grow a little bit more. Last year we just expanded big time. I went from a 600 square foot facility to a 1,600 square foot facility. So. Just doing things like that and stepping it up, and every year it gets a little better and a little crazier animals and better breeders and better connects and better customers, and it steadily grows, man. It's a long haul, but it's definitely worth it.
So Josh, question: how many ball pythons a year do you think you sell?
0.
What?
Yeah,
Not even like the normal ones?
0. Yeah, I think like realistically, I think last year total, I might have had 3. This year it will be exactly 0.
We'll see.
We sell so many ball pythons.
Yeah, no, and like I know the market's there for them. It's just one of those things. Like I have no interest in them, and there's so many people working with them. I just don't feel the need. Like it's one of those things. Like I'll get corn snakes in and stuff, but I'm now focused pretty much solely on like the oddball unique species. I still carry some of the more common stuff here and there for shows and whatnot, but I mean, like I said, of the 300 animals here, there is not a single ball python in this facility. I think there's one corn snake. There's no crested geckos. I have the giant leopard geckos, but no normals. But yeah, as far as like the common pet store stuff goes, man, I've just decided to steer away from that because it doesn't pique my interest like the other species do.
And that's why I'm at your table every show.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Some weird ass fucking frog from some rainforest no one's ever been to.
Yeah, well, and like that's my thing is like I get excited about the little brown toad that lives in the dirt of Malaysia somewhere that nobody's ever seen, and I'm just like, it's the most amazing thing ever, and everybody else is like, yeah, dude, whatever, but to me, it's amazing. To me, it's cool. So,
No, that's my wheelhouse all day long.
yep, no, you're like me. You've got the unique oddball addiction. You're just
Yeah.
Scott,
Everybody's got
over there.
What's that?
What are you breeding over there this year?
Well, hopefully those pink tongues I got from you.
Yeah.
I got some bumblebee toads, some Adelopus toads I'm working on, some yellow spotted climbing toads. Milk frogs just dropped more babies.
Oh, cool. Yeah, we're sitting at 700 milk frog tadpoles over here too. I'm stressing, hoping they make it.
Yep, I got the keel bellies. Those teamers probably not get ready this year, maybe next year.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, that's what I'm kind of working on right now.
Damn, you went through that list, and I feel like I've sold you half of it.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
That's why he's staying away from you at Tinley.
Yeah, that's why he's not going to Tinley, right?
He's like, Micky, please make me work.
Micky, what about you? What all are you producing over there?
Let's see here. I am not really producing anything this year. I was working with the deadleaf lizards.
Mm-hmm.
And I had like a temperature spike out here in the barn, and I lost that whole group of them. Really, this year I'm just kind of feeding everything. I know like my ball pythons and my corn snakes and stuff are going to go off to a store so the kids at the stores can breed all of that stuff because it's super easy to do. So, the leopard geckos and crested geckos and everything like that, they're all going to stores so they can be produced in-house at the stores. But really right now I'm not producing anything.
Yeah. Brady, are you keeping producing anything?
I was kind of in Mickey's boat where I was just feeding a bunch of stuff. Like last year, I had so much craziness going on that I didn't breed, but I still have like 200 plus animals.
Okay.
Sand boas. I do have some ball pythons, but mostly like sand boas, blue tongue skinks. I've got a pretty cool collection. I came into a few from one person and a few from another. So I have some K Island blue tongue skinks that come from Indonesia,
Yeah, awesome.
only on two islands there. So they're my favorite of the blue tongues. Just they look really prehistoric and different than any of the Australian or the other Indonesians.
Yeah, no, that's great.
So, and then I have, like everybody, you end up with odds and ends. I got a couple of king snakes, a couple of gophers, and just goofball odds and ends. I've got 10 or 12 chuckwallas, which to me just they're like some of the coolest damn lizards out there. Like the attitude and the fact that they're 100% vegetarian. It's nice to have something that you don't need feeders for.
Yeah,
Although,
that's like the number one thing my European customers ask me for is chuckwallas.
yeah, and they're harder and harder to find. I think because obviously places are not letting them be captured in the wild and just
Right.
sold. So,
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
which is a good thing. Hopefully, it spurs more people to try to breed them. But so far, mine have the really dumb habit of having a really nice lay box and a good place to put their eggs, but instead drop them right under the heat lamp so they dry out before you get to them.
Yeah, cook them. Yeah.
But I think it's just they're young and they just don't know exactly what they're supposed to be doing. So hopefully
Well,
they
you
Yeah.
gotta be faster than that.
Yeah, I just went through that with my one of the pairs of Tristus monitors we have here. Young pair. They just produced for me this year, and female turned around and just ate all their eggs right away. It's like it makes your stomach drop, but it is what it is. So up the calcium on them and try again. It's just they got to learn like we do. So.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep, definitely.
Yes, I just woke all of the Australian blue tongues up, so they've got like a couple of weeks to eat, and then they go into they get triggered into their breeding mode. So have
Yeah,
to decide how much and which ones I want to pair this year.
yeah, do them all. Why not?
Yeah, the nice thing is they all got the year off last year, so pulling them out of brumation, I just was shocked at how good everybody was looking. I was like, oh, they're all plump.
No,
They
that's
had a
awesome.
they had a whole year off, so they should be nice and healthy. I would think I should get really good results on all the ones I do try to breed.
Yeah, that sounds like a great year for you coming up. Hopefully.
Hope so.
Yeah, we just my big excitement here. I think it was last week. We had my first time ever breeding the Malagasy hognose, the Madagascar hognose.
Oh, nice.
So got a clutch of those. Got 10 good eggs, no slugs from that female. So that was one of the more exciting things for me this year that was going to produce. And she looks great, man. She's already back on food and rocking and rolling. So I'm thinking I'll probably get double clutches from her this year. So we'll see how she does. I'm not going to push her too hard, but the eggs are all doing really good. So fingers crossed. Middle of May that we'll have some babies.
That'd be awesome.
Super cool.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, but got to keep that show inventory flowing so I can get back out to the Micky shows.
Well, that's why you asked what we're all working with, so you can be like, "Hey, you gotta do some trades on some of this stuff."
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, that was always part of my plan too. Is I felt like if I put good quality wild caught animals in the hands of the right keepers that were going to breed them, my opportunity to buy captive bred babies back was always going to be present. So that's worked out well for me. I have a lot of guys that are kind of like breed quote unquote for me at this point. Where they're like I'm buying all of their babies for the year. I've got a few of those and. That works out great for me and great for them too. It gives me a great captive bred inventory, and they don't have to deal with the hassle of getting any babies started or customers or anything like that. So.
Some people sell Avon and Tupperware. He's got his own pyramid scheme going over
Exactly.
here.
Yeah, man. You got to do what you got to do, right?
It's multi-level marketing with snake breeding.
Well, it's actually smart because a lot of guys that are really good at a lot of people that are really good at breeding reptiles don't really care for the sales part of it,
Yeah.
And Josh is willing to go out there and do it, I've seen great reptile breeders that are absolutely terrible with people, and they couldn't sell.
I think a lot of it comes down to too is just like it's very easy to get overwhelmed, and a lot of people don't realize that. Come springtime here, there's times where I'll have 500 hatchling snakes here, or even more at times, plus all of my imports, plus all of the breeding stuff. And it's like, if you have a good year of production, achieving 100 babies or 200 babies really isn't that hard to do. If you have, let's say, even with ball pythons, like you're getting 7 eggs a clutch. You got 20 females that go for you, like that's 140 babies, and it's like that adds up very quickly. And so small collections can become big collections really quick, and I think a lot of breeders will end up just kind of getting overwhelmed by that. They'll unlock the key to breeding something, and then they're swamped. And then that's where somebody like me kind of comes in, and I'm like, hey, I'll take them right out of the egg right away, for a discounted price, wholesale price, and I just buy them all, and then I deal with establishing them, getting them sold, and it kind of just alleviates that stress, and they're still able to keep the ones that they want, keep the ones that they want to retail, and move all the rest of them to me. And I have a lot of breeders that really seem to like that. They seem to think that that's a good option for both of us. So it works out really well. I feel really good about that side of my business too, when I'm able to kind of help alleviate somebody who's like, I've got 200 of these and I need them gone right now type thing because I'm overwhelmed. And it's nice to be able to just be like, okay, like send them up and I'll get them going.
It is funny, like, sometimes even when you're experienced at it, you can get in that overwhelmed situation. I've got sand boas, and they have some decent sized litters, but one year I looked at what I was breeding. I was like, man, I'm not going to have enough space. So I added like another baby rack with, 30 slots on it. I'm like, that should get me good. And the first two snakes that dropped, 37 babies and 27 babies.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
like,
that's
oh,
the
okay,
perfect
well,
example.
that rack's gone now, overfilled.
Yep, no, that's the perfect example. Yeah, it's super easy to have happen, and people kind of don't really realize it, but it is. It's like especially with the colubrids, like you're breeding corn snakes, breeding king snakes or something. You're getting 10, 12, 14 egg clutches, and some of these females are double clutching every year too. If you're doing it right and you're pushing them, so it's like you can very quickly and very easily become buried in babies and be like, oh man, like I'm at a spot where I can't afford this, or I can't house this, or I don't have the time to keep this up, and it definitely can stack up.
Yeah, that girl dropped 37 in one litter. I just kept pulling them out like, this can't be one. This can't be one litter. There's no
Yeah,
way.
that's crazy. Yep. Yeah, we've got a local guy here that breeds Western Hognose, and his biggest clutch was I think like 32 eggs or something like that. Same
Wow.
situation, just like a huge amount. But I mean, obviously good. Like if you're getting that much, if you're getting that many babies, you're doing something right. But also, does pose the threat of being overwhelming. So,
For sure.
Micky, are you still doing a bunch of venomous stuff too?
Oh yeah, that's what I was sitting here thinking. It's like I should probably pair up my annulifera this year because they're getting kind of old. So I probably need to produce some of those before those guys get too old to make more babies. But yeah, I still got quite a bit of venomous stuff here.
Have you ever bred those before?
Oh yeah,
They are like the most violent breeders I've ever seen.
oh yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like
The the
my
black
male.
packs, the black packs. When I paired them up a couple years ago, the female actually killed the male. It
Oh,
was
really? Wow.
crazy. Yeah, she tore his ass up.
Yeah, I remember the first time I ever paired snouted cobras. They locked up right away, and the female just started thrashing the male. And like I was so worried that he was just gonna get killed in the tussle, but he stayed locked up and was completely fine, and they bred and everything was cool. But yeah, I could not believe how crazy they were.
Yeah, I've been poking around for a female king cobra. I still have Magnus here. He's been doing really good. And I've always wanted to breed those, but I
Yeah,
think I'll probably have to build the female like a big ass room so she could mound.
yeah, definitely just tons and tons and tons of leaf litter. That's what they want. So
That's what I'm doing now. I'm just building animals total rooms.
yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
They're almost done with that croc monitor enclosure up in Troy. I'm super excited for that.
Yeah.
I'm fucking stoked for that.
Yeah, yeah, he's going to be a great addition. Then after that, we're gonna do one for the lace monitor, the bells.
Oh,
Okay.
sweet.
Yeah, I'm not doing a ton of the big monitors these days. I just don't have the space for it. It's in the summer it's fine. I can throw everything outside, but that's only a few months out of the year. Once Michigan fall and Michigan winter hits, it's frozen tundra up here. So
You get like a good 3 months where you can keep that stuff outside. I'd say June to the end of August, and here in Missouri, and it's just everything's got to come back inside.
yeah, no, that's what I kind of like. I keep the tegus and stuff, and I like those because they're a little more cold tolerant. Same thing with like me getting the brown tortoises and stuff. I try to get species that can handle those nighttime dips because a lot of times we'll have days that are 80 degrees and sunny, and then nighttime drops are 54 or 52. And so I like to kind of keep those species that can handle that much of a temperature range. And the tegus do absolutely great, and like all the baby tortoises do really great. So I just that's another thing that kind of goes into this business is only keep what you can actually handle. Don't get in over your head. Like you said, like you're building rooms for animals. I mean, you see people all the time that get these large monitor species and are then asking what size tank it needs, and it's like it's not a tank, it's a bedroom. Like you're talking an animal that needs hundreds of square feet of space to live comfortably and successfully.
Right. Yeah, I've got it in a 4x2x2. It's doing great.
Yeah, exactly. Do you have the croc monitor now?
No. He's still with his owner, and as soon as this room's done, I'm gonna drive out and pick him up. He's an adult.
That'll be awesome.
Yeah, I'm super excited. I hope he doesn't cut me up too much.
I was gonna say, be careful, man. They're sharp on every end. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I told everybody.
Josh, you got all the cool like dwarf monitors though. That's
yeah.
Who doesn't love those?
Yeah, I do a lot with those. I really like those. The Tristis have become my most recent obsession, but yeah, all the Kingorum and Gillens and all of that. I love all that stuff. I'm still working on my Gillens. I haven't been able to produce them yet. Gotten a couple clutches, but no babies. So I think I'm missing something dietarily that they need or something. I don't know what I'm missing, but yeah, no, the dwarf monitors are a really cool one to have too, because it gives people that big monitor feel with a small package where they're not having to build something so huge. Like my Tristas are breeding, and it's like probably a 4x2x4 or something like that, and that's plenty of space for them. It's built the right way. It's got shelves and branches and everything that they can they utilize the entire enclosure. But same thing with my Kimberly Rocks. You breed them similar size cage to that, and they've done really well, and I've enjoyed breeding those because I feel good about selling them. I feel like I'm not sending these animals off to somebody who can't actually handle them or actually can't house them. They're way more manageable.
I love my Kimberleys.
You love your what?
I love my Kimberleys.
Yeah, they're cool. Mine are really chill too. Like they're not real flighty. They can just kind of walk right out on your hand and take food from you and whatever. They're not too hard to work with. So
mine are flighty like my Ackies. They're just I let them do their thing. Yeah. I see them whenever I feed them.
Yep. Yeah, the thing I really want to get going here too is the Varanus similis, the white spotted monitors from Indonesia. Another dwarf species, man. Those are so cool. I've got a big male here right now. I've been on the hunt for a female, but that's one I'd really like to produce.
Yeah, you had that one down in Nashville with us, didn't you?
Maybe, yeah, I think so. I can't remember. That was ago. That was like a million snakes ago.
Yeah, that was a cool animal. I remember it.
Yeah, well, if you remember it, it was there. So.
All right, guys. Well, I think we have about got to wrap this thing up. It's almost time for our staff meeting.
All righty.
Woohoo!
Well, thanks for having me on, guys. It was good chatting with you.
And we appreciate you coming on. It was great to visit with you, and we look forward to having you at Colubrid Fest.
Yeah, sounds good. I'm sure I'll see you guys before then, too. But.
I'll see you next weekend.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right, bye, buddy.
I'm going to talk to you in another Show Me show at some point.
Yeah, I want to. It's just a time thing. So
I know. We'll figure it out.
We've got a big one coming up in one of your favorite states in September.
Which one's that? That's Colubrid Fest in September.
Well, we got another one.
I'll send it to you.
Tennessee.
Yeah, Tennessee.
I got you. Well, you know the deal. Shoot me the dates, and if I can make it happen, I'll be there.
All right, yeah. Cool.
All right, thanks. We'll see everybody next week.
All right, bye.
Bye, buddy.
Thanks for tuning in to the Show Me Reptile Show podcast. Remember to subscribe, leave us a comment, and tune in for more amazing reptile content soon. Until next time, stay curious, love your animals, and respect one another.